about because our project was a little bit complicated. I think it definitely confused some of the outreach partner applicants that we talked to this year. So it's just aid for understanding kind of the structure of what we're talking about. So as you all know and hearing from us this year, Kate and I worked with the Environmental Justice Coalition for Water on what was called the Disadvantaged Community Involvement Program. It was Proposition 1 funding that EJCW is the lead applicant and grant administrator for in the Bay Area. So we have $6.5 million in funding through the Integrated Regional Water Management Program for projects in disadvantaged communities and with tribal communities that have historically not been involved in resource management decisions. And then the Disadvantaged Community Involvement Project also includes conducting a Bay Area-wide water-related needs assessment, and then building the capacity of disadvantaged communities and integrating technical assistance, as well as actively including disadvantaged communities into the governance structure of IRWIM. And so these outreach activities are ideally integrated with the needs assessment and will help identify priority areas to inform the next round of IRWIM funding, which is for implementation projects, and to address identified needs through the needs assessment, which can lay the groundwork for these communities to co-create solutions to water-related challenges. So Kate and I worked on a lot of things this year. Kate is going to talk about some of our challenges, so I won't get into that, but our work plan was slightly less straightforward than we thought it would be due to some of those challenges. So some of the big projects that Kate and I worked on this year mainly kind of fell into the categories of research, relationship building, and coordination. We created a data clearinghouse of existing indicators for how communities experience disadvantages in the Bay to try to help inform the way that we're going to be conducting that Bay Area-wide needs assessment. And then in addition to that, we helped develop the preliminary methodology for that needs assessment and helped catalyze expanding the scope of that to understanding disadvantaged communities' most pressing day-to-day needs, not just related to water, but then connecting those most pressing day-to-day needs to water as well as to other funding opportunities. We did a lot of research and a lot of research memos on past IRWIM efforts to help inform the way we're conducting this project, because this is a first-time project, which is something that's really cool, and we've had a lot of influence in how things have been done, but it's also there hasn't been a clear process, so we've definitely taken one step forward and two steps back in some cases. Something big that Kate and I worked on was creating the interview script and evaluation criteria for the potential outreach partners that we'll be contracting with. So we had that approved by the coordinating committee, and then Kate and I conducted, scheduled, interviewed, and then conducted and evaluated 35 potential outreach partners who applied for the DACIP funding, and we presented those results to the Bay Area IRWIM coordinating committee. And so when we presented to the coordinating committee, there were a few, we sort of had a broader discussion about the goals of the program and how the original RFP that was sent out by the coordinating committee before EJCW was involved was not really, it was very broad. There was no cap on how much funding people could ask for. So like I said, we have $6.5 million available in funding total, but some groups were asking for $4 million for their one project. And the language was also pretty confusing, given that in past IRWIM rounds of funding, the word project has been used very specifically to mean project, whereas in this case we meant outreach activities in these communities, as well as technical assistance. And so we tried to clear a lot of that confusion up through the interview process, but it didn't seem like everyone was completely happy with what had happened. And so the North Coast actually sent out an RFQ